You know, Paul, I invented a word the other day. I invented the word podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I decided to define it as such. Two gentlemen named Paul and Alec talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! And any other game or interest that they have for about like 1.5 to 2 hours, about once a week.
Right.
And
specifically like on Thursday mornings, they premiered on like YouTube.
And so that perfectly describes what we do. So here we are. We are the podcast.
Yeah.
There can be no others.
The only one. That's true. Hopefully you guys are having a great week. I'm very excited to be back. I hope that everybody enjoyed our guest last week, Matt Bell.
Shout outs to Matt for doing the interview.
Truly. Hopefully, I
already saw a Reddit post replying to, or a Reddit post with someone reacting to the interview.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. I should have checked it out.
I didn't get a chance to like click on it, but I saw the post. I'll definitely be going back to it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really insightful interview. We plan to have more guests on. A lot of people said that they enjoyed it. There were a few people who also said like, pick better questions next time or things like that. So
fair.
Work in progress.
Yeah, we're not interviewers. That's an actual profession.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how to necessarily do that best, but we're going to try to improve that. Either way, though, make sure that you do check the episode out and check out Robot Raiders. In the meantime, we need to ask you to do something for us real quick.
Put your ones up. Premiere Gang, rise up.
Yeah, for those of you watching the YouTube premiere, a 1 would most certainly be appreciated.
And if you have to throw up a 2, sure.
Yeah, we won't fault you for it.
But, the ones should have it.
Yeah, also shout out to the channel members. Always going to remember to shout them out. I forgot to put them at the end of the episode last week because it kind of ended on like Matt Bell's interview. And so like I kind of have this little template I use. And either way, though, yeah, if you are a paying channel member, you will be at the end of episodes as well.
Wait, can you be a non-paying channel member?
I guess you can't really. You can just watch.
Yeah,
you can just watch in general.
Just a viewer.
Okay, well.
Not that we love you guys any less. We just love the members more.
Speaking of ones up in the chat, that's actually the title of the review that we have this week.
Oh, okay.
This comes to us from Bella Hewell.
Bella Hewell.
Hello, guys. This is my favorite podcast, or the only one. This person knows. Anyway, I just have a question after watching you guys duel. How do you guys rate the new Blue Eyes White Destiny deck? Keep up the great work.
That's a wonderful question.
Well, first of all,
played a lot with that deck.
Yeah, appreciate the review. 5 stars. Very cool. What do you think of the Blue Eyes White Destiny deck? We've done a few duels with it now. Okay, before you answer, I will say this. I am actually like low-key not a big fan of Blue Eyes as a deck. So going into it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to sit here and like force myself to play this.
Low-key on the most like lukewarm take ever.
Well, a lot of people love it. Like a lot of people love Blue Eyes to death. And so like it's sort of weird because I know I've been the person who's like had to play it in most of these theme duels. I'm only playing it in the next one we do. But like generally I've had to play it, and so I have to kind of like put myself in the headspace of like loving the Blue Eyes deck. But I like Blue Eyes the monster. I don't care that much for Blue Eyes the deck.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But anyways, product wise, what do we think?
Yeah, I think the Blue Eyes structure deck and then the strategy that came out of it, some of the best work Konami's ever done for a legacy archetype.
For sure.
It's probably top 2 structure decks of all time, just because of you truly get the full deck with just 3 copies of the structure deck, but also the random chance rarity bumps actually making it interesting to open up your 3 different structure decks.
Yeah. Did you have?
The full extra deck, or at least close to being full.
Yeah, they've been improving steadily with the structure decks. I think the best part about Blue Eyes is that it is a fan favorite thing that has gotten a lot of people like directly into Yu-Gi-Oh. I've heard a lot more people, seen people on Reddit and like forums, Discords and stuff who are just like, yeah, I just picked up this deck. Like, where do I go from here? I like that there is a more competitive direction that you can take it that is like viable. Adding in the Primite stuff engine. And the Crimson Dragon and all the hijinks with that. But also that, like you said, out of the box, it will get you through the Blue Eyes thing.
You can play
it in a modern sense. So I think that they made a good call with that. I think that the timing was great. If I had to give any gripe whatsoever about the structure deck, it'd probably just be, and this is like hyper nitpicking, there's like nothing else in the box. Do you remember that? Like they don't give you a
they
rule
didn't
book.
even do the little booklet thing that they don't. I mean, it's not even a booklet anymore. It's a mat / a play guide.
Yeah, they don't give you either. Which, like, again, that's nothing. Like, who cares? Most people are going to throw that out anyway. I just thought it was kind of strange.
Yeah, it is weird. Since I wonder if that's a precedence going forward, or
yeah, maybe it's just like we're saving paper. Maybe that was the trade off they made for like including the variant card inside. Maybe they just felt like they had to make a bit of
they wouldn't want to change the size of the boxes they're using, so
or like a plastic to paper ratio thing. I don't really know.
I can see it.
And also to clarify, when I say I don't like the Blue Eyes deck, I don't mean that people who play it are awful. I know sometimes people will get that idea. It's more like it's just not really like my thing. I don't, because like Blue Eyes is kind of just one of these decks where like the bosses are really big and they don't tend to do much when they're on the field. So Blue Eyes is kind of straightforward, which makes it easy to play and like pretty effective, but it's just not like play style wise my favorite thing.
I mean, we know what kind of decks you like to play.
Yeah, more control, more like mid ranginess. So, but that's not to say that Blue Eyes is by any means bad. Anywho, though, we got a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh news.
We got a little bit,
and by a little bit I mean really only just a little bit. The first big Yu-Gi-Oh news is that the pot has been replaced.
I thought you were gonna say repaired because that's clear.
Yeah, it'd be funny if I lied.
Like, we fixed it, guys. You can't even see any damage. We did a great job.
Yeah, there is this is a new pot of greed that I purchased when the first one broke, so it took like 3 weeks to get here. I was able to find this on eBay because a lot of people often ask because they want one for themselves. I found this on eBay. This was about like $300, and that was the cheapest one I was able to find. And normally I would not really just like up and buy something like that, but it's kind of the prop that we need, and I still am working on the whole like gluing the other one back together. I don't know how that's going to go. So
it's a crafts project.
So everybody, please give a round of applause for the pot's cousin. This is the Bob of Greed.
The Bob of Greed.
But yeah, so Maze the Master. That's what's coming out this week. We have a box right here. Grabbed it from the local card shop. Support your locals.
Do it.
Have not opened it yet. We'll probably be opening it right as soon as we finish recording this, I suppose. So, have you heard anything about Maze the Master? Seen anybody's like pulls?
I haven't seen
good stuff?
Anybody open this set yet.
Yeah, neither have I actually.
I've said it before. Maze is not a set that I am expressly interested in opening. However, it has a legacy archetype.
Yeah, legacy archetype always helps. I mean, I know that there is a little bit of stuff here that's supposed to be helping Ryziel. I tried to build the XYZ like ABC stuff in Master Duel actually because it is in Master Duel now.
They did put it in Master Duel.
I still need to get a couple more URs, I think. My first few duels did not go that well because it was kind of bricky, but I might just need to take some more time and like learn it and kind of get more comfortable.
Don't worry, once they unban Union Driver. Wait, I think he already got unbanned, didn't he?
No, you're thinking of because there's Union Carrier and Union Driver.
Oh yeah, Union
Driver's like
Carrier.
the main deck one.
Yeah, Driver, no one cares about.
Yeah, Carrier's probably never going to get unbanned, unfortunately. But yeah, other than that though, there actually is not a lot of like new Yu-Gi-Oh news per se. A lot of card reveals though, so I'll just.
And that's like that's a lot of like OCG like baseball. We don't do that here.
Yeah, like we tend to not really like delve too much into the effects because it's just sort of like it's stuff. It comes out, but I will say
it would be criminal not to mention the Monarchs.
Yeah, so there's a few things. We will start with the quick one, which is they did reveal Dark Karibo, the V-Jump promo card. Did you see this?
Yes.
Yeah, so your prediction was right.
Like
it is more or less support for
1 for 100, y'all.
Yeah,
coming up.
It is more or less support for dark kind of hero fusion stuff. I'm assuming that they'll just like be importing this fairly soon. When a card effect is activated that targets a fiend or fusion monster you control, or when your fiend or fusion is targeted for an attack, you can discard this card, target one of them, and until the end of the turn, it can't be destroyed by battling card effects. And its effects in the field cannot be negated. And then also, if this card gets sent from the hand to the grave by a card effect, you can add a polymerization from your deck or grave to hand. So yeah, it's just going to help your little hero thing.
I'm a little upset that it's a poly searcher because
I guess it should have been maybe just dark fusion.
Or a card that it could have just said, a fusion card or a card that mentions it, but no, polymerization. I know they've been doing that a lot with these legacy archetypes where they'll just kind of force you to run polymerization.
Yeah, sometimes they will. Like Fluffles just run. Like you just kind of have to run. I mean, they also have Fright for Fusion, but they're very much like Poly as well.
And Heroes, I'm not with what's his name, the fire guy.
Blaze Man?
Yeah, Blaze Man searches the polymerization, and
yeah, a few of them are like
I don't think Dark Hero, because in my Evo Hero list, I don't even run polymerization. At least I don't think I do. I mean, I guess I'll put one in for Dark Karibo. Sure, why not?
Also, from Deck Build Pack Justice Hunters, we did get the third archetype revealed. It's the K9s, and maybe you can describe this slightly better than I can, because I don't know
they were. So
visually what this is.
K9 was a little bit different than I expected because we'd only really seen Ripper at the time, and with the name being K9, it's like, okay, this is gonna be like a group of like animal police officers, right? Because Ripper looks like she's wearing a like a police uniform, and she turns into this like animal form. But we got the rest of the initial wave of cards revealed.
Yeah, which seems to be there's Izuna, which is the one that becomes Ripper, right?
Yes, Izuna seems to be Ripper before she transforms.
There's Jokul,
which is not actually an animal. At least it doesn't look like an animal. It seems to be more like a Yuki-Onna.
Yeah, then there's Lantern,
which I guess would be like a will-o-wisp. I don't know what the fire spirit thing would be called in Japanese, like yokai mythology. And then there's Lupus, who's just a straight up like werewolf, who actually has more than one form versus Ripper, who only has the one. He's got the
werewolf and hound.
Yeah, hound and werewolf, where they have this weird like acronym thing going on too.
It seems like it's somebody had like a theory that they're kind of in the same world of the Dynamorphia monsters. Like, I'm not sure.
I saw that. It feels like a stretch. I mean, they definitely share an artist. I won't doubt that. But, I mean, I don't even know if we have enough cards to even truly understand what the K9 are.
Yeah.
Because while three of the monsters look like they're on the same team, Lupus or Hound or whatever you want to call him.
He kind of looks like more of an adversarial. He looks like a
bad guy. He don't look like he's fun at all.
Either way, these are... Oh, sorry.
I just don't see how Dynamorphia fits in.
Yeah, I don't either. I was going to say, so it seems like it's like a rank 5 Xyz strategy, which is cool. They have their own rank 5s, and there is a selection of rank 5 Xyz that they can also offer. Yeah, I remember Andreas and Tyrus and Andreas, yeah. Keeper of Armageddon and Keeper of Genesis.
Ooh, there's also that, what's that rank 5? The golem with the dice. I forget the name of it was.
Paradise Smasher.
That one.
Yeah, that one's fun. Also, I remember Volcasaurus. That was a pretty good
classic.
So, yeah, there's that. There's also new Monarch support that was announced for the core set, Duelist Advance.
Set the world ablaze.
So this one's neat because, people in general sort of like Monarchs. It's a big historical piece of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Though I specifically remember when Monarchs were meta, people were absolutely sick.
Yeah. It was very polarizing, I think, at that point. Because they were
a slow,
totally anti-extra deck.
Grindy game.
Yeah, Domain of the Monarchs is kind of a wild card. And the fact that, that deck, I know it's like it fell off a bit in consistency and stuff, but like this new stuff certainly helps. And a field spell that just says your opponent cannot summon from the extra deck is pretty wild.
It's so debilitating. And to bring that back in this modern age of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, it's very interesting to me.
Something I thought was kind of fun with these cards was just that obviously it seems that Eidos, right, the little small...
My boy Eidos.
He's kind of come up in the world. He's got his full Monarch stats now.
My boy became the CEO.
Although I remember you were mentioning... What's that mean for
Erebus? Yeah.
Erebus gone?
Because he took over like the Underworld Monarch moniker. And it's like, okay, well, that was Erebus's name. So did like Eidos kill Erebus?
Was the mantle passed on?
Did Erebus just retire? He just like went off to the beach somewhere to chill out? What happened to Ether? Like, yeah, because like Adia was also there with Eidos, and Adia got a retrain too. What's it called? Like Altea, something.
I think there's Tessera.
Tessera, yeah, Tessera. That's it. But she doesn't seem like a replacement for Ether. So like, did Erebus retire and Ether's like, I'll hold it down?
Yeah. So you kind of get some insight into that because in Rebellion of the Monarchs, we see what seems to be the new Eidos fighting against Erebus. or
Oh, wait, let
confronting
me
him.
see.
Yeah, in Rebellion of the Monarchs. Like, Erebus is
yeah,
sitting on his
look at him.
throne, and it looks like the new Eidos, he's gotten a little stronger, and he's now challenging Erebus.
I do like that Erebus still kind of seems like disinterested.
That's his thing.
One of my favorite things about Erebus's artwork. He's just on the throne, like leaning on his fist. It's like
He's bored and not interested at all.
But I guess Eidos took it to him and became the new underworld monarch.
Which seems like that might be what's going on in Scheme of the Monarchs, this new spell where they're kind of...
You think it
having
was a
little
coup?
meeting. It seems like it. The
Oh,
Monarchs are
them
having
treacherous bastards.
They're having this meeting. I think a funny detail here is that Grand Marg is so big that he's just like kind of has to like sit behind the table a little bit.
He's got his own table. He is another table.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind
Wouldn't
of
it be funny if they're not actually at a table? It's just Grand Marg's leg.
It could be. It looks like they're scheming. They're planning on like overthrowing Erebus, and looks like I guess it kind of happened.
We've never gotten too much like Monarch lore in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think the biggest piece of lore ever I got was the Master Duel Gate.
Yeah,
where we just find out that monarchs just kind of show up places, destroy them literally just by being there, and then those worlds get rebuilt, and like
and
the cycle of
the
life.
monarchs show up again, and
they just do it all
destroy
over
places.
again. I don't know if the monarchs were ever organized before.
Yeah, it seems like they're definitely organized now. So that's
And I think that's where we get the new trap card.
Yeah.
Where you get to use, each of the monarch's effects?
Yes. Each time your opponent special summons a monster and you control a tribute summoned monster, you can banish a monarch spell or trap from your grave to activate one of the following effects, and they're all just the 6 baseline monarchs.
And that makes it sound like the monarchs are working together. And can I just say how absolutely insane that is?
I think it's badass. Like, that's fun.
You get 6 interruptions. Now, they're all not made equal, right?
Yeah,
like,
some aren't.
Some
great.
effects aren't nearly as good as others, but that's still 6 quick effects on your opponent's turn from one card.
True. Now, the next thing that they announced is some new psychic cards that are also in Duelist Advance. So these aren't too interesting to me because I wasn't like
Cosmo
a
support. Let's
person.
go.
Yeah, it could be considered Cosmo support. A lot of these are all about like the whole banished psychic thing.
I'm so excited to just put them in Cosmo.
They've basically retrained a lot of stuff like, Silent Psychic Wizard and like Ultimate Axon Kicker.
So many
Ruler
ways to get to
Archfiend.
Tin Can.
Yeah, so there's 3 new powerful synchros, a new fusion, 4 new main deck monsters, and they've even created now a sort of type of spell in the teleport cards, because like one of them can search teleport spells. So they already had emergency teleport. So now there's like parallel teleport and teleport fusion and stuff like that. So
I'm not gonna lie, I cannot wait to lose to people while I still try and force Cosmos to work in 2025.
I'm not gonna lie, I think that Cosmo's long overdue for like some new support.
I have a
hunch as to why they
feeling
can't. I think it's got to be like a licensee.
I think it's like an art licensing deal.
Art thing, maybe? I don't know.
I think purely because the alleged artist of Cosmo, Genzoman, has not, as far as I can tell, drawn a Yu-Gi-Oh card in
a while, so there's
many years.
Might be something with that.
But then again, you think, they'd have someone else draw new Cosmo cards, but
it could be the same thing as like the Air Neos thing, where like everybody always is just like, well, why not just give it a new art that literally just kind of changes its design to give it an alt art? But I guess it's not that simple.
Maybe it's not. Konami, if you're listening to our podcast, and I know some of you are, please give us new Cosmo.
It has been a long ass time.
If you are hate watching this podcast, then definitely don't give us new Cosmo support.
Yeah, don't do that. That would really
reverse psychology.
Stick it to us if you didn't do that. Really put us in our place. So that's like actually kind of the news. There's not too much else. YCS Vegas is happening this weekend, and that is exciting. However,
who's going to be sober enough to play?
Yeah, I guess that's true. They're not going to be live streaming the event, which has been a bit of a point of contention for a lot of people.
I thought that was a joke. They're really not live streaming an event in Vegas?
They're not, and it's strange too because this is a 3v3 event, which, if you've been following, the whole 3v3 format has garnered a lot of just support among the competitive crowd. It's kind of fun to be able to enter a tournament with your best mates.
Buddies.
And in my opinion, having done some 3v3s myself, I think it takes a lot of the edge off of, Yu-Gi-Oh in a way. Like, like Yu-Gi-Oh can just be such a like salt fest when you lose because it's like, oh, someone flipped a floodgate or someone locked you out or drolled you, whatever, shifter. I think when you have like your friends next to you, there's a little bit less. There's more holding you back from just breaking down in salt.
I mean, and there's something about playing this like very solo game as a team, and a lot of people have their teams and stuff, but this is the only event format where it's like, hey, you get to have a team, you have a team name, and you are competing together.
Yeah, so I thought that's kind of cool. I saw that like Sam, Pac, and Syriax are going to be competing as a team, which is cool.
Oh, that's sick.
Because Syriax typically just does like Master Duel content, but I think they've been training him. He's in a little hyperbolic time chamber, and now maybe he will
believe that now Syriax is going to go top an event now.
Almost certainly, or at least I hope so. That'd be cool.
I feel like at that point it's kind of like the Pac effect. Once you're underneath his wing, it's only a matter of time before you top/win an event.
Very true. Very true. So
I feel like I just like just like promoted whatever like training
Pac's,
service they have.
What is it? Is it?
I forget.
I don't know
the
if he's
name
on
of it.
Patreon or if he's got like Medify. I think he does Medify. But either way,
I mean, I guess if you're gonna pay for training, you could
get some of the best people. You could do worse. I'll tell you that.
I feel like there are much worse picks out there.
Yeah, so I think this is cool, but it does suck that we won't really get to see a lot of the.
I guess
the
you
action
can always just
unfold.
go to Vegas and see it in person.
Yeah, you can either go to the event or.
Though I feel like if I went to Vegas, I wouldn't be sober enough to actually watch much of anything.
Yeah, so that's going to be happening. I guess you can follow the written coverage instead.
It'd be like The Hangover. You remember that movie, Paul?
I do. Oh my God, that movie was such a good movie, but I always thought like it overstayed its welcome. I think.
Well, that's because they made sequels. They just shouldn't have made sequels.
Because it's made like multiples, and I was like, this is maybe just one. It would have been a great like one-time thing.
It's one of those things where it was a movie of it for its time.
Yes. Speaking of that, the one other thing that I was going to mention too is that Master Duel's Duelist Cup is happening this week. It's starting at least. I'm going to try to do my usual thing where I just try to make it to the second round, all because I want to hear what this year's new Master Duel music is for the Duelist Cup. That's like, I live for the Master Duel soundtrack.
But what if you don't like the song?
That'll be unfortunate. But I'll grow to like it. That's the thing. Yasunori Nishiki, he's the artist. Everything he's made has been great, and like I usually end up like when they added the Sky Striker theme to Master Duel, like the little Sky Striker field, I was like, oh, I do not like this theme. But now I've heard it so many times because everybody uses the goddamn field, and now it's like, yeah, it's kind of grown on me. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna be doing that. I'll try to maybe stream a little bit of it. It'll be fun.
That's how I was with that song, Black and Yellow.
Oh my God, yeah, we were talking about that the other day, weren't we?
Yep.
From 2011.
I remember I hated that song, but do you know I know all the lyrics?
They play a song enough, and I just feel like you don't get a choice. Like if it's playing in like every little like social event you go to, every mall or restaurant.
It's just upsetting, Paul. I have failed exams in my life, but
you
there
still
are
can
a
recite.
multitude of songs where I know all the words to it, and I don't want to.
Whatever happened to Wiz Khalifa? Is he still around?
No, he's around.
Does he make music still?
You see, like you'll hear like
No, but
stuff.
does he like make new things?
Like I'm sure he does.
So you don't know?
I mean,
Okay, no, that's fine.
I can't prove it offhand, but I feel like it's too soon for him
Yeah,
to be
like he
completely
probably
retired.
maybe does make music. Someone in the chat will know. That's all the Yu-Gi-Oh, I suppose. So
And on to more card game things.
yeah, there is a big Magic story that I assume you have.
And I will tell you guys once again, it's incredibly hard to find anything related to the Pokemon TCG ever since that Pocket app has come out. The sheer amount of bloat stories about Pokemon TCG Pocket it's so insane that I have a hard time finding anything actually interesting about the Pokemon TCG anymore. But on to Magic the Gathering. So I imagine you guys already know about this, but I'm going to say it for the people who don't know. Magic the Gathering has revealed their new SpongeBob Secret Lair.
Yeah, this has been all over my timeline for the past like just few days. And where do we start with it? I mean, I guess just so what are some of the things going on with this?
Secret Lairs are limited release sets where Wizards will reimagine like key usually like useful and powerful cards, but through the lens of like a popular franchise or theme. In this case, it's SpongeBob, and I think I think they did a good enough job. It feels like most of the cards are actually just SpongeBob memes.
Yeah,
just in card form now.
A lot of SpongeBob memes, and you kind of can't escape a group message or someplace just throwing these
can't be done
in them. So I think the most iconic ones, obviously, there's like some of the characters just have like they're just on cards. I think like the counter spell. The whole mocking SpongeBob meme.
They and then I forget. I think Chris was the one who posted that they should have done the counter spells text
uppercase, lowercase.
Yeah, as if it was that meme. I like the Patrick Star where he just has the wooden plank just kind of in his head somehow.
Yeah, Squidward, sarcastic snob, Plankton, tiny tyrant, Mr. Krabs, penny pincher. But yeah, they use like inevitable betrayal and like days. Those are definitely like SpongeBob memes of a time. Force of despair. You see that meme template so much. Yeah, like it's a lot of SpongeBob memes. They did like the food tokens. It was like artifacts. It's a Krabby Patty. Smart. They have like different planes. Okay, so I've seen people very, I want to say divided about this. But really, it feels like I've just mostly seen negative reception to these things. And typically, when I see this stuff, I'm kind of like, well, like, I don't really get like why you're that mad about it. It's a secret layer. You don't have to buy it. And that's all still true. I still think that like at the end of the day, this is just a secret layer. Like you're not forced to consume this. Mm-hmm. I will say, however, this is the first time that I have seen one of these secret layers and been like, I kind of get where they're coming from a little bit. With the whole, like, this just feels maybe a little too nonsensical and, like, too removed from Magic the Gathering. Really? You said this is the one. This is where you draw the line. I might be forgetting one, though. Like, because I don't know if you know the entire history of the Secret Lair program. I don't. So but they have had all sorts of things. Oh, there was My Little Pony. Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to pull up. Yeah, I think My Little Pony was part of what caused the start of this. At least of me hearing about the controversy around like, by the way, when I say the controversy, I'm talking about like there's a subset of Magic players who really do not like these secret layers and just some of the collabs like the Universes Beyond in general because they feel that it dilutes sort of the just heritage, purity, whatever of Magic the Gathering. And, they think they don't want their game to kind of just become a collab crossover fest, a Fortnite or whatever. It's funny you mentioned that because there was a Fortnite secret layer. So. Yeah, I remember you told me that there was one. So this is the first time where I've looked at these cards and been like, okay, this does feel very, very like left field for Magic. But I think that part of my sort of thoughts on the SpongeBob thing are that we talked about this a little yesterday. The SpongeBob memes are just kind of old. Like they're just not like super current memes. Now, don't get me wrong, SpongeBob memes have an air of general timelessness to them. Like you can kind of use them and people get it. But it does feel like these are memes from a few years ago. Some of these started like in like 2016 and stuff. Like SpongeBob memes, you see them in elementary schools where like teachers will post up like messages or bulletins with like a SpongeBob meme. And usually once they're popping up in elementary school, it's done. It's the same as like, when a corporation starts using the word of the day type of thing. Oh, yeah. Wendy's says aura too many times, and now you're just, ugh. Yeah, or like when companies would be like, we're going to give you a swag bag or something for coming to this event. And it's kind of like, I never understood swag bag, because I feel like swag bag and swag, like the swag that, I don't it's not. One. So this is when I saw these, that's kind of where my head went a little bit. I also just don't know if the average Magic the Gathering player, which who might even say what the average Magic player... I don't actually know what the average Magic player is today, so maybe I should just stop right here. I feel like that definition changed with after COVID and the popularity of the Commander format. What's average in Magic is not what it once was 20 years ago. I just do wonder, because like when I think of a Magic player, I kind of think of someone like over 30, millennial age, whatever, maybe older. And I don't know if like SpongeBob memes, I think they would have used them and like kind of known about them, but I just don't know if it would relate that much to them compared to maybe when I think of like Lord of the Rings and Assassin's Creed, maybe even like Final Fantasy. I feel like those are maybe more natural integrations into Magic. You could kind of see a universes beyond where like that makes sense. SpongeBob feels so left field.
Hey, they wouldn't do it unless they thought it would sell, man. And SpongeBob does have a very high, like penetration within like
Across generations, really.
Yeah, the generational zeitgeist.
Yeah.
You know, SpongeBob's the only character where you can pull like a Gen Z, a millennial, and a Gen Xer, and they're all familiar with it to varying degrees, but they are.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, what do you think? Just from what you saw, you like it? Is this a secret layer you will be getting?
You asked 2 different questions just now.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it fine.
Will you be getting it?
God, no.
Okay.
I find no joy in owning SpongeBob cards or cards that relate to SpongeBob. I think the cards themselves are fine. I don't.
You won't be seething with rage when they get played at your table?
No, I might jeer a little bit though.
Oh, okay.
But like, if these cards bring someone joy, it's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
Now, when someone busts out the Gary the Snail as their commander or something,
it's a little off-putting. I think, I mean, I get why they're doing this. I have read that, like, basically Magic's player engagement rates are the highest they've historically ever been in the last, like, 2 years. And I think a lot of that is just simply owed to these secret layers and these, like, universes beyond. At the end of the day, these do get attention. These get people into Magic the Gathering. Like, you know, for a lot of people, like you kind of got into it around Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Like I know you kind of knew about Magic, but like that was kind of the set that grabbed you.
If it weren't for Lord of the Rings, I would not be playing right now.
Yeah, I know Chris was saying the same thing about Assassin's Creed. I know like with Larry, it was kind of like the same. It's just for a lot of people, and even for me, like I know how to play Magic, but I don't actively play it. But like I'll probably be building some sort of a Final Fantasy deck because that's just a series I really like. And so, you know, I get it. Like, I get why these collabs and these crossovers and God, you know, like Marvel, Spider-Man, that's definitely going to pull people.
But I do wonder, because I mentioned earlier we mentioned that we don't know what the average Magic player looks like.
I really don't.
And I think it's actually a very interesting point. You know, 20 years ago, I'm pretty sure Wizards and everyone who played and were around Magic had a pretty decent idea what the average Magic player looked like. But like you just said,
what is it now?
The player base is higher than it's ever been before.
So it becomes,
which means the average has to change, right?
Yeah, it becomes something a lot more nebulous where it's like, where does it go from here? Like, I wonder, how do you take the player who got into Magic from Assassin's Creed and continue to cultivate them? Or like, where does their journey go from there? My assumption is just that like, it's kind of simple. Oh, I got into it from Assassin's Creed and then I just kind of wait until the next secret layer that I also like, or the next universes beyond that I also like. And that's probably fine. I mean, I guess like once you get them at a commander table, the rest is kind of history sort of deal.
Though but I wonder the demographics around what it means to be an average Magic player. Because the closer you were to the average 20 years ago, probably the more alienated you might feel now.
It actually brings me a lot back to that whole, old man yells at cloud sort of deal where, oh my God, they're probably going to do a Simpsons collab.
Why not?
If they did SpongeBob, they'll do Simpsons. But anyway.
Futurama.
Or that.
South Park.
But what I was going to say is like, at what point are the people who are angry about these secret layers and like angry about these universes beyond things and just, the purity of Magic is being destroyed. At what point are you actually just kind of not the majority? Like, sure, you feel like, well, I've been playing for like 20 plus years or whatever, but I can kind of like reflect that back on you, the same question back on you. You've been playing for 20 plus years. So really, how in touch with it are you, like, in a sense?
I think to some degree, Magic has evolved past what it once was. all companies have a picture of what they believe their target audience looks like, smells like, thinks like. They have a profile of what they think their target audience is. And if I were a betting man, I would bet that for Wizards right now, that picture has changed substantially.
It really probably has.
I think that picture has become younger. I think it's become more ethnically diverse, and and gender wise, it may not be all the way male anymore. And like, what if you are no longer in the target market for Magic the Gathering? Because you might argue with all these secret layers and universes beyond sets, if you've really hated them, there's a chance you really aren't in it anymore. That they are not targeting you. That means they actually
that is something they have
care.
to wrestle with. Yeah, it's like, is my favorite game still for me? And I will say this: I can empathize to some degree with that feeling, just because it's not far off from the Yu-Gi Boomer thing and stuff, where a lot of people just feel like Yu-Gi-Oh just isn't what it used to be. It had a golden age, at least in their opinion, and it isn't that anymore. What that golden age was kind of varies from person to person, but I think that's kind of the natural progression of card games. It's or really anything that you like, the time when it was best was really just when you got into it. That's how it ultimately is for everybody. Your favorite band, their peak kind of era for you was really just kind of the time that you found out about said band. And when you were really enjoying their music. And the music that they make now isn't really the same. And you claim that it's because something's changed them, society's made them be this way, or it's, some little force or whatever. But at the end of the day, everybody's kind of got just nostalgia for the time that they got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the time they got into Magic and what it was like then. And then you go back and realize maybe it wasn't even perfect then. Like what we were talking about last week with the early days.
Everything I loved as a child is still perfect to this day.
Right, yeah, of course. Because we were talking about early days collection last week, and people kind of playing it, and a lot of these new school streamers are playing it even, and finding out oh man, these old school games suck. But even some of the people who liked old school Yu-Gi-Oh games are playing it and realizing, maybe I do just want to use these cheat codes and kind of just get the cards, and it just depends on who you are. Yeah. To bring it back to the SpongeBob stuff, though, at least it's just a secret layers. So
yeah, like we said before, it's ignorable.
Yeah, you don't have to buy it. So.
And because it's a limited release, you probably won't even see it all that much.
Yeah. So Magic the Gathering X SpongeBob SquarePants. I want to hear what people have to say about it. I got a quick Pokemon bit. But this one is, I don't have the videos for this. I'm just going to kind of bring it up, and I'll probably add the videos.
Are they fighting again?
There's two. So the first one is this one video that somebody sent. I think I did bookmark this one. And it's basically these people. Okay. It's this person who is first in line at GameStop to buy some Pokemon cards. And he pees on himself to not lose his spot. You can see this guy zooming in. He's saying here's this new drop. It's when it comes out. That's in the door. And I guess there's this guy waiting, and he has pissed his pants because he doesn't want to lose his spot in line to get the new Pokemon pack. And now this is something that's on TikTok. Don't know if it's real. It could just be staged. But it's kind of one of those, the scalpers are taking it really far. Or maybe it wasn't even a scalper. He might have just been a collector. I don't know. But what are your thoughts when you see this?
To this day, I've never wanted something bad enough to just relieve myself wherever I am so I can hold it down. Okay, I'm from New Orleans. We all do Mardi Gras. We've all had to pee in the street at some point. But not on myself, and not because I'm waiting for a product. It's because you literally in Mardi Gras you can't get to a bathroom. It's crowded. All the stores are closed, and the ones that are open don't have public bathrooms. It's a whole thing. But anyway, I digress. I can't. This is one I don't think I can empathize with.
I don't either.
It feels too extreme.
It's so obsessive.
Because.
It's a mess.
And nobody could hold his spot. There could have been no collaboration at play here.
Yeah, that's actually another thing too. Is I guess it's gotten so competitive between the people waiting in line that it's just like someone has to use the bathroom, and I just can't. Like, you've been here in front of me, like I'll let you use the bathroom. You can still like keep your spot. Like, it's not. Has it gotten that cutthroat?
Because I've been in many long lines in my life, and a lot of times they are lines where I really want whatever the thing I'm waiting for is. But I've never like barred someone from like running to the bathroom, or you got to run to the parking lot real quick. They'll be right back. I'll let them get their spot back. Like, I don't. It's not that serious. At least for me, nothing has really been that serious.
Yeah, there's also this video that kind of went around, made the rounds, and this one is two known scalpers in the Bay Area fighting over a 10 a.m. vending machine restock. This is a Pokemon vending machine in the Bay Area, and it's a little like 40-minute video.
40 minutes?
Or sorry, not 40-minute, 40-second video. And it's just like these two people there. Apparently people know these people as scalpers. They're fighting with each other to, like, I guess, you know, be the first to use this Pokemon pack vending machine.
I'm having a hard time. Like,
it's just a whole little mess.
There's doing a little shoving match. These grown men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For audio listeners, what we're watching is basically two grown men. This guy looks like they're both at least in their 30s. This one guy looks like he's like 50.
Well into their 30s at least.
Yeah, and they're just kind of pushing and shoving each other around a vending machine, and it's a Pokemon like little vending machine that you can buy packs from.
I'm very disappointed. When you said they were fighting over it, I at least wanted to see some like display of athletic ability and skill. Like they weren't really like throwing punches or like dodging and weaving. They were just kind of like shoving at each other.
Yeah, one guy's basically trying to block the other guy from like, you don't get to touch the screen.
It was kind of like shoving on each other. Like, I feel like they're too lazy to really fight, but they still don't want to give any ground.
It's really pathetic. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's really pathetic.
It's a Pokemon vending machine.
It's pitiful. I mean, there's not much more to say about it than that. It's just that scalpers today, I guess. Like,
I mean, we never had very high opinions of scalpers to begin with, and we've seen the sheer amount of nonsense they've got up to in like Costco and GameStop and that one museum in Italy.
Yeah,
like, I get, but this that was just sad to see. It was so disappointing.
It isn't much, and I figured since there wasn't a Pokemon theft story this week, that would suffice as these extreme displays of scalping.
Like, I know I shouldn't be saying this because it applies to many things in our space, but you know, Pokemon is for children, right? Like,
yeah, it's very telling.
Game. It's not even just a children's like card game. It's the entire franchise is for children. Now, yes, they make a lot of money off of adults because we can't grow up and act like adults. But this is a whole other level of like man-childness.
Yeah.
Like, if these guys are scalpers, right? So this is like a monetary thing.
They're two known scalpers
if
too, apparently.
Your income and the financial success of your household is based like entirely or majority or mostly off of Pokemon trading cards,
that's a problem.
You need help. Like, financial, maybe psychological. And there are exceptions, right? There are some, like, if you're a Pokemon YouTuber and you're big and you make money off of it, I guess that's a little different.
But
only a little, though, not very different.
Yeah.
But you know, we make videos about, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, which is rated 6 and up, so it's not that different.
It's like, I'm not blocking anybody at the card shop from buying the latest pack. Like, I say,
please buy all the stock in my local card shop.
Yeah, they could probably use it. Anyway, that's the Pokemon news. Any other card game things?
This is not really a news story anymore, but we didn't really talk about it on the pod, and I guess I should bring it up because I imagine a lot of you guys did not even hear about this. Battle Spirits Saga, rest in peace. That card game is over.
Yeah, there's Battle Spirits Saga by Bondi, correct?
Yes. So, quick little background. Many people are familiar with Battle Spirits because this is not the only Battle Spirits card game we've ever had in the United States. We had a Battle Spirits card game many, many years ago that failed. And Battle Spirits has been a very popular card game in Japan for years. And then it was eventually brought over to us. Was that 2 years ago? Or is it one? I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, April 2023.
In the form of Battle Spirits Saga. And sadly, it never quite took off. What I have here is the kind of press release that Bandai put out announcing the end of this card game.
The end.
Dear Summoners.
Oh, is that what they were called?
Yeah, the Summoners.
Okay.
Thank you for your continued support of Battle Spirits Saga. We sincerely appreciate the passion and dedication you have shown to the game. It is with great regret we must inform you that Battle Spirits Saga, which launched in April 2023, will be concluding its official development and support as of March 2025. While we've made every effort to expand the game through various promotional initiatives and tournaments, including the first ever cash prize supported events in Bandai card game history, current sales, performance, and market conditions have made continued operations unfeasible. After much deliberation, we have made the difficult decision to end Battle Spirits Saga's official development. We deeply apologize for not being able to meet the expectations of all summoners who have supported the game, as well as the stores and partners who have carried our products.
Yeah, well.
They also have this announcement about their final official event, Summoner's Legacy.
Okay.
It's March 29th in Pasadena. So if you want to be there for the last official Battle Spirits event, March 29th in Pasadena, go. I guess
You'd be really sad if there were like 10 people there.
No, I think it might be sadder if it's like the biggest Battle Spirits event ever.
That would also be
because then it's like, well, damn, y'all should have been here from the start, and we wouldn't have been doing all this.
All right, Alec, what went wrong?
I mean, it's been said time and time again, but I'll reiterate because I like talking.
That's why we're here.
This is actually kind of Bandai shooting itself in its own foot. I mean, this was already a competitive like trading card game space, but Battle Spirits Saga came out after Bandai released Digimon, after Bandai released One Piece. Like, there was no room.
There's no room. There's already kind of, so like you said, there's already that like existing Bandai kind of cannibalization thing. They release a lot of card games frequently. I know that that's just sort of their wheelhouse is making these new games. They've got Gundams happening soon and all that. But truthfully, and they can't forget Union Arena and Dragon Ball Super Fusion World. Yeah. Anyway, the thing I was going to say though about this is like this game wasn't even attached to like a well-known IP. Now I know that Battle Spirits existed before, but all those other games are attached to like a popular franchise like anime, whatever, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Digimon. Like people know about these things. You can just slap those names on a card game and it'll do fine. Even Union Arena, which is maybe not my cup of tea because it's just one of those like amalgamation games.
It's every other card.
But at least it still has like every other anime, and so, that like Bandai has the rights to anyway. Yeah, Battle Spirits just didn't have any of that. It came across as extremely generic and in that way unforgettable at a time when this market was, still is at its most fierce. Outside of the other games they had, there was also like Star Wars, Unlimited, Lorcana coming out.
I do think that's a nasty precedent that's being set here. Because, and you said it just now, that Battle Spirits seem generic. Which, when I think about it, and when I look at like the images of Battle Spirits cards, Battle Spirits was anything but generic. It had its own unique art style and monster and creature designs that set it apart from basically any other card game you can find out there. But it's generic because it's not some major anime IP that we all already know about. Is that really where we are now?
Is that such a sin, right?
Like, a card game has no shot unless it's a part of an anime series like that's supposed to be on the Mount Rushmore of shonen anime. Like,
that's a really good point because I do think you're right. I think that we've kind of reached a point now where, and I don't, maybe this is getting like a little too like abstract about it, but I think that's kind of, we've talked about this, I feel like, in the past too, or maybe I've brought it up. This whole tug of war between like new and old. Like, do you want to, like, how interested are you in watching a new show, or trying a new thing, a movie you haven't seen, or going to watch like an MCU movie? How interested are you in trying out the new anime this season versus watching season whatever of ReZero, season whatever of One Piece, and like that's kind of all you watch? How interested are you in trying out your favorite IP as card game, and that's the only way that you'd be willing to try out a card game versus a card game that is new and different? And we see it with video games. We see it with so many things where there's kind of just this aversion to new things. We'll complain when it feels like everything's being reused, but also people are clamoring for like remakes and remasters of video games.
We want sequels from things that were made 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost kind of strange because like you start to get to this point where people really are like, you know, just remake the original Sly Coopers or remake the Jak and Daxter games, or like when are they going to remaster, you know, GoldenEye and all these things? Like, I'm not saying
they need to remake Max Payne.
And to
for
be
those
clear,
of you who know,
it isn't wrong to like those things. It's just kind of one of those like, if you only want the old and you're only willing to pay for the old, then, you know, I guess you just can't be surprised when nothing truly new ever shows up.
Now, to be fair, Battle Spirits Saga is a remake of Battle Spirits.
That's also true.
In many cases, it actually uses the same artwork of the original Battle Spirits cards.
Wasn't the old Battle Spirits game like, what year roughly was that? Do you remember?
Ooh, boy.
Like quite old?
2007,
7, 8, something
5.
Like that. Okay.
It has to be in that area because I think I was in middle school picking up Shonen Jump magazines.
I think in that case, I think to the average person seeing it, they just probably wouldn't even remember.
Because like I remember I actually
Maybe, I don't know.
was a part of Shonen Jump's like sneak peek deal with Battle Spirits. You could cut out a little like card out of your Shonen Jump magazine, mail it in, and receive like a pre-release kit for Battle Spirits. And that was years ago. I was very young, and I still, as Alex holds on to them now, but we still have the original little Battle Spirit cores, and that's what makes me have to bring up the fact that this is a remake.
It is a remake.
A lot of people don't remember the original game, but it is a remake.
So I should amend what I said to maybe more so include people are only really interested in like the big parts of their childhood being remade and remastered, like the things that you remember. And like that's fair. I don't want to say that it isn't like you're ruining the card game world by only buying like no, that's not. It's just Battle Spirits came across as unremarkable, and that's unfortunate. Because I remember when we were like learning how to play it at like one of the regionals or something for like Digimon, and I thought the rule set seemed quite unique. I know it had like the cores system.
Yeah, I thought that out the gate, I'd never played a new card game for the first time that seemed complete already, but that was Battle Spirits.
Yeah,
Battle Spirits was a complete card game that we were getting for the first time. Well, again, but it wasn't enough, and I think I know why it wasn't enough, and it's a bit more intricate than there were just too many other card games. When I think about trying a new card game or really a new game in general or anything, I view these products differently. If it's a game based off of a major IP that I already like, that's usually enough to get me to put my first foot in the door on instinct. I don't need much more convincing, right?
Yes.
But if it's a new card game that's not attached to anything I've ever done, or if it's a new movie, a new book, whatever, now it's dependent upon, well, who's introducing it to me? What's the community around it like?
Yeah, and usually with a game like that, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're right on it.
You know that there isn't much of one. Like, you know, you're having to almost do the legwork of convincing your friends to maybe give this a try. We're in a somewhat fortunate position, and sometimes I think it actually can be not an unfortunate position, but it's a unique one where, you know, we're often invited by some of these companies to like check out their game, or like we'll send you samples, and then because we kind of have a group, I can be like, oh, okay, well, like, you know, Alec will try any game out, like at least once at a demo table. But most people don't even have a friend that will do that much. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it just, and that's not a person's fault for they're being so close-minded. It's just there are a lot of card games, and there's limited time, and like some people are just kind of like, listen, I got my games I play. I don't really care to try them out. So,
because like for me, like I didn't really get into playing Battle Saga because there was no one I wanted to play a new card game with at the time.
Yeah.
Like all the people I liked playing card games with, they played other card games. They weren't playing Battle Spirits. So
if no one's playing it,
I didn't really want to start playing because like when the Digimon card game came out, it didn't matter who was playing it. I was gonna show up because I love Digimon, and then the community was just created by people. And so in a weird way, these IP based games have an easier time because there's a common ground that all the individuals have, and they want it to work. But when it's new,
you don't have anybody in your corner for that.
Somebody has to be the arbiter, the leader of it all.
And you're not often going to find it. Well, here's another related Bandai thing.
What you got?
This is about One Piece. Just speaking of cannibalized Bandai games, that might be a nice segue. Rest in peace, by the way, to Battle Spirits. I mean, like just zip away from it. But I mean, there's not that much. I mean, I feel like we've said a lot about it. It's gone now, or will be. But Bandai has recently confirmed that from some point in 2026, every One Piece card game set will have a simultaneous global release, though it hasn't yet been confirmed which set this will begin in. They announced this at like the Bandai Fest Day thing that was in like Dallas or
One
Houston
Piece
or
Day
something.
thing?
Yeah, this is like a couple weeks
I think
ago.
that was that last
weekend before last, I want to say.
Or maybe it was 2 weekends
or
ago.
something.
Something
Chris
like
was
that.
mentioning it. Chris is, kind of resident big One Piece guy. So this is like technically a small story because neither of us really like actively play One Piece. No, you were.
I'm going to the One Piece pre-release this weekend.
But the reason I thought that was kind of a notable thing was because this is yet another instance of Bandai merging games like English and Japanese release. Historically, pretty much a lot of these games have been like not the case. If you follow Yu-Gi-Oh, you're obviously used
months
to
apart.
OCG and TCG, not just months apart, different sets in some cases, just entirely the different set lists and formats and ban lists. Digimon recently, you said, merged, correct?
We had our last desynced product came out this month, and then come BT21, that's right in step with Japan.
Same with the Gundam TCG, which is going to be releasing
simultaneous worldwide release.
Yep, China, Japan, England.
England.
I
love England. Those guys over in England, they know what they're doing.
Bigly. So I think that's kind of just a new standard that Bandai seems to be adapting with all of its games. I'm hoping that will maybe put some more pressure on Yu-Gi-Oh to do the same.
It would be nice to finally live in the present day when it comes to the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, because that whole cards get revealed 6 months before they actually come out,
it's the worst.
It's grayed on me for years.
It always makes Yu-Gi-Oh so difficult. Okay.
Well, he's protecting Yu-Gi-Oh's image.
No. I'm trying to protect my own image as just a little bitching complainer all the time. Listen, this is not the biggest thing on the Yu-Gi-Oh totem pole, but it is one of the things that for us as content creators comes up so much. I know it comes up for players. Is when you know that your deck is getting support in 3 or 4 months, so it becomes difficult to invest yourself in playing the deck as it is now because you know that the support's around the corner, but it's not out, and you can play with it on Dueling Book or on EDO Pro or something, but you can't have it, and so it's we have this problem when we're making theme duels where it's we wanted to do the fire versus water duel literally last year when Rage of the Abyss came out, but the new support, there was more Mermail Atlantean stuff coming later, and so you have to kind of just sit there and wait, and it's and that's kind of even the case with Shining Sarcophagus right now and a few other archetypes.
Because even for a casual person, you wait a half a year to get all the support for your deck. And you know what's crazy? Usually when we get that new set is when Japan starts revealing
more stuff.
The set. The next set after that reveals are going on. Now you're thinking about something else.
So it feels like this should be a good opportunity to maybe be hey, listen, Konami, a lot of your competition, particularly One Piece, which is the biggest competitor, I'd say right now for Yu-Gi-Oh, at least in the modern day, They're doing this simultaneous day and date release thing, so maybe now might be like a time to kind of consider that. Now, I will say this: Pokemon still doesn't do it. So
That's true.
So that's they have not synchronized up. They still get packs in Japan about a month before. So,
But that's just a month. I mean, I
think it's a little longer, like month and a half, like it's something like that.
Like a month and a half. I wouldn't have that big of an issue with a month and a half.
Yeah, I could live with
that
a month
whole
and a half.
like waiting what feels like a year, because like a 6 month difference really ends up feeling like a year. I don't know why, it just does.
Well, because with the Yu-Gi-Oh OCG, it's about 4 months for mainline sets. But the thing is, there's so many sets that you just don't know, like the V-Jump stuff. Like you don't know when might get imported.
the smaller stuff where it's like, oh, my deck got this one piece of support that was in this specific set that we didn't get announced. So like, where's that card gonna come in? And sometimes like you'll be waiting on a card forever. You know a card that I believe we're getting. I think it might be in Maze, but I've been waiting on this card for a long time now. Ancient Gear Statue.
I think that. Did that come out? I don't even. That's another thing. Sometimes you just lose track because
Ancient Gear Statue, as of today, is not out in the TCG.
It's not? Okay.
No. Because it's a really good card in Ancient Gears, and I wouldn't be playing it.
I feel like with all that stuff, it's like sometimes you forget because like you want a card for a deck, and then by the time it comes out, and it's going to get like thrown into a Battles of Legend or a Maze set or something, and like by the time it even comes out, like you've kind of forgotten a little bit about the deck, like you're just not even that interested in playing it. That's not every deck. Some decks like you're willing to wait, but it's tricky. I don't know. But yeah, so One Piece is going to be doing that, and I hope that Yu-Gi-Oh will follow suit. Because
yes, it is in Maze.
It's in Maze now? Okay,
yes.
Cool. That's all the card game news, I think.
So have you heard about the Pokemon Go sale?
I have seen headlines. I've seen headlines about it. I don't follow Pokemon Go, and I also don't know enough about like mobile game companies. I just heard it was like sold.
Like I saw a headline it was a very charged headline. It said like Pokemon Go has been sold to the Saudi government.
Okay, that sounds sensational.
Yeah, I don't even know why someone would even take it that far. I mean, they were sold. It was Pokemon Go wasn't just sold. Niantic sold their entire gaming division to this company Scopely, who I believe is owned by a Saudi conglomerate, but I don't think that actually has anything to do with the government.
Well, they say, it's the Saudi Arabia owned mobile developer Scopely.
Yeah,
so I guess that maybe.
I'm not sure how you're going to tie it into making it sound like Pokemon Go will be a state-run game is crazy, but
yeah, probably not quite that intense.
Anyway, it's official. Niantic, the developer of Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, and Monster Hunter Now, has sold its gaming division for a staggering $3.5 billion to Scopely, a world leader in mobile games. And that actually is true. Scopely boasts games like Star Trek Fleet Command, Marvel Strike Force, and Monopoly Go. Those three games, like, if you exist on this earth, you have had to hear about one of those games. Somebody in your life plays Monopoly Go, somebody plays Marvel Strike Force, and
now someone will be playing Pokemon Go, which they'll also own.
So yeah, they'll just but that's like Scopely's thing. Scopely has a few games that they've developed, but now I think they actually just buy a lot of other people's games because Marvel Strike Force was not developed by Scopely. I believe that's another acquisition that they made.
Okay, interesting. So I have this quote from the Niantic CEO, John Hank. Niantic games have always been a bridge to connect people and inspire exploration, and I'm confident they'll continue to do both as part of Scopely. I firmly believe this partnership is great for our players and is the best way to ensure that our games have the long-term support and investment needed to be forever games that will endure for future generations. Okay, so any thoughts on that? I mean, I don't play Pokemon Go.
I have a few thoughts, actually.
Let's hear them.
Like, figures I'd have thoughts on mobile gaming. But
yeah, Alec is the resident mobile gamer.
I've played a few.
He's played a couple mobile games in his time.
With the genre. But anyway.
One or two.
It kind of had to go this way at some point for Niantic because Pokemon Go was simply too successful and too popular. Not many games get to be a very visible and noticeable cultural phenomena all at once. I feel like the biggest gaming, like the game that made the biggest impact on culture when it came out, other than this, is like Grand Theft Auto. And that even that didn't have the people mobilizing the way they did with Pokemon Go. And Niantic, they had their proprietary location-based gaming situation made. They had a game before Pokemon Go that was just like it. And if you look at any Niantic game that was released afterwards, they all incorporate those location-based gaming situations. And, of course, they want people to move like they did when Pokemon Go first came out, but they never could get it to happen again.
Yeah. As somebody who doesn't play Go, but I just know a lot about it, I always remember people even talking about like the post DLCs and just like, events and characters that, be like appearing in the game. I remember when they would add new features, that was a pretty big deal. I guess like this is just kind of how mobile games go. It's just like they just get bought a lot. Like just companies kind of like already major companies like say Marvel will be like, okay, we're going to get some random small mobile developer to make this random mobile game for us. And a lot of franchises do that. And then they kind of will be all under companies like Tencent and stuff like that, and then they kind of just get like bought and sold around. So it can sometimes seem to me as an outsider, like a cheapening of things. Like it's just like these games just like clearly must not matter very much, but maybe I'm on the wrong track with that.
You're not completely wrong. Because there's like, you're talking about a specific type of mobile game. So there are these mega successful mobile games. Mm-hmm. These are games that do like millions of dollars every single day. They have their installation rate is insane. Games like Monopoly Go is not mentioned in the same breath as something like Genshin Impact, the mobile version. Genshin Impact is an extremely popular mobile game. It is nothing compared to Monopoly Go.
Right.
Games like Monopoly Go become so huge that then they become attractive to these larger conglomerates and corporations where they want to expand their portfolio. And the thing is, when mobile games become big, they actually, as much money as they bring in, they become a burden. Because a lot of these games, like you said, are developed by smaller teams, smaller companies.
And it's harder. So that kind of explains why they were mentioning that, this will be good for maybe the long-term success of Pokemon Go, because it might have more development resources.
And it's true. Like Scopely has vastly more resources compared to Niantic, and I'm fairly certain that Niantic was kind of crushed a little bit by Pokemon Go. That game was way too successful
for them to handle
that, for the size and scope of that company. And then they made more. They over invested in some of their follow-up games.
And those didn't really
they were expecting something similar, but they couldn't get that.
I heard a lot of people saying that they're kind of glad Niantic had to sell, or didn't have to sell, but like is selling Pokemon Go because apparently like it's pretty predatory. Like they say that like Niantic it's been very predatory with its like microtransaction stuff with Pokemon Go, and so I don't know that like I always feel like the new company would probably do the same.
I will tell you right now. Niantic ain't got shit on Scopely.
I mean, my thing is like if you're buying, like if you think about how like corporations, acquire other acquire companies and IPs and things, it's like they would only acquire that gaming division if it was like profitable and had a big install base that they can then use to make it even more profitable. Like they wouldn't be buying it if they didn't think there was money in it. So, I don't know the specifics of how predatory maybe Pokemon Go is or has gotten or whatever, but I wouldn't expect it to get less predatory.
Guys, you have to understand, if you downloaded a game for free, you are going to be predated on. That's like you downloaded something for free. There's a cost with that. And
speaking of costs, actually, wait, did you have
I was gonna say, and you can't be surprised when they take every opportunity to try and make money off of you.
Here's a quick one then. This is a good transition. So they're making a new Skate game. Yeah. I don't know if you heard about this. They're making a new Skate game.
Skate they're making a remaster of of Tony Hawk.
They said they're also doing that, but the Skate series was like on Xbox 360. I remember. I think was when it came out. Kind of a spiritual successor to those Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. Well, anywho, The headline says, "New Skate doesn't have a release date, but it does already have microtransactions."
How is that even possible?
Right. So I wondered the same myself. EA, red flags, highly anticipated Skate reboot doesn't yet have a release date, but its early access build does already include microtransactions. So, yeah, they've been steadily making progress on a free-to-play pivot for this new game. Select players have been getting hands-on time with the game since 2024, though there's still no concrete release date on the calendar. It's expected to launch, at least in some capacity, later this year, though there's no further clarity beyond that. But in the meantime, devs are continuing to update the early access build with new content, gameplay tweaks, and more. In the latest update, as first reported by Insider Gaming, the new Skate now features microtransactions in its pre-release state. So, yes. First of all, thoughts. This pre-release game, this early access whatever game, is asking you for a little money.
So, I mean, that's scummy in general when they already have microtransactions built into the game in its early access build. You should not be trying to take money out of gamers' hands when your game is not finished and you admit to it being unfinished. If your game gets to be unfinished, then I should be able to get my money back.
That's what I was going to say. Is I was wondering, like, okay, if you pay for these microtransactions during this early access build, like, are they going to transfer over? Will they even be compatible? And the article clarifies that for us.
Okay.
So here's what they say. With Skate's latest early access update, Full Circle, I guess it's like the studio or whatever working on this, has now implemented a microtransaction model. Players can opt in and purchase the Sandvan bucks, digital currency, whatever that means, which in turn can be used to acquire a range of cosmetics. Accompanying the news, Full Circle claimed that this change will help ensure players, quote, have a positive experience when purchasing items from the Skate store. What does that even mean?
So I guess it's like they're testing their microtransaction system.
Oh, yeah, like you're like a focus group. As it's still early days yet in the game's development pipeline, microtransactions come with a caveat. Here's the caveat. As new updates roll out, progress will occasionally be reset. When the proper early access launch arrives, because this is like early beta early access, every account will be wiped for a fresh start as more players file in. Now they say any money spent on digital currency in this early period will eventually be converted back into Sandvan's bucks, but no refunds into real money will be happening. So at least like there's that.
I mean, but that's not a refund, right?
That's not a refund.
The money is still trapped within the game, but I guess to some degree you're relinquishing your money in the first place to them. So why should you get it back, I guess?
Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of a little quick one. I want to know from people listening, if a game is in early access or even like super early alpha access, would you be willing to, purchase microtransactions?
The thing I really want to talk about is the fact that they're taking Skate and making it into a live service game.
So
we are actively converting a game that used to be a standalone, you pay a price tag, and then you have the game type game. And years later, we're going to reboot it into a live service free-to-play game.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to keep this one simple. It's EA. What'd you expect?
True.
Like, I'm not even going to give this story any more time of day because I don't know that much about Skate. I'm not an expert on it. I just know that, like, it just sounds like something that EA would do. Like, you hop on here, I guess you play around in a skate park, and it's a live service thing.
I do think Skate is one of those games where the style of game that it is makes it
probably lends
easier
itself kind of well
to make it into a live service game. But I don't like the precedent of changing what a game once was into this new, very controversial model of gaming. It's fine to make a new live service game, but like, don't take like a game I like and make it live service. That, like, what if they made like they're gonna announce like Spider-Man 3, but don't worry, it's free to play and it's live service.
But we've talked about this at length on past episodes, so I'm going to try to cut it short here and just say that is the direction that these companies are going because they see money and dollar signs, and I do not like it. Next story. Before I get up in a rant, because I will.
Well, I'll just delay my story so that we can rant.
Okay, let's rant a little. No.
Okay,
That's fine.
Game companies want to be able to replace actors with AI replicas in the next strike, union says.
Oh, okay. Well, shocker.
So, game actors have been on a strike for over a year now. And while they say progress has been made in negotiations with companies like Electronic Arts and Activision Blizzard,
We just talked about it. Yeah.
they also claim that publishers are refusing to budge on offering meaningful AI protections, a major sticking point in the ongoing fight in the use of digital replicas, which could be used to replace game actors in the future, including during a future strike. All right, I'm going to stop reading this right now because I have a strong feeling I know where this article is headed. Okay. So, I play a lot of mobile games.
Yeah.
One game I play is Zenless Zone Zero.
Oh, yeah, that's been affected by that.
Literally today, these two Zenless voice actors revealed that they had been replaced by new voice actors, and they were finding out at the same time as the players. The situation is that they're involved in the SAG-AFTRA strike, and I guess there was some miscommunication between them, their agency, and HoYoverse, because HoYoverse replaced their voices, and those actors didn't even know about it. They didn't know they were out of that job. They were waiting on when negotiations would move forward, and then they could start voice acting again. They didn't know that they were just getting replaced, and it's been a huge kind of stink because people are saying. Some people are mad at the voice actors. They're saying the voice actors chose to strike and refused to work, and so they put themselves in a position to be replaced. Some people are mad at HoYoverse. HoYoverse doesn't believe in labor rights and digital and protections for AI, and so these voice actors didn't want to work with them. They just replaced them.
I know that was it Zenless Zone Zero or maybe Genshin Impact where there was an update and people were kind of upset because some characters just weren't voiced in the update.
I think that's all Hoyo games because that happened in Zenless. I'm pretty sure it happened in Genshin.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that recently. And that was a big controversy.
They still have to keep updating these games despite there being a strike. So what do you do when you have to put this character on screen but the voice actor's on strike? Well, they opted to just not have voice acting at all for those characters.
Right.
And to me, that's a decent solution, but I think for some people...
But that kind of ruins the experience, because, it's just you've played this game up till now, and it's had that level of quality and polish. Is it this is a voice-acted game? Because, it's a big difference when a game is fully voiced versus not. That's difficult, for a game company to do. And so I feel if you're used to that in a game, and then suddenly, it's just not the case, it'd be a little off-putting. But I don't think it's you should gotta blame... I know people are blaming the voice actors, saying, okay, just... stop your stupid strike and just agree to their terms so that my Genshin update or whatever can have, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing, right? Now Hoyo has replaced those voice actors with new voice actors, and people they're upset again, but for a different reason. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. The sticking point, like they said in the article, is that at least for this company, they have not come to agreement on AI protections. Yeah. And it sounds obvious you should give these voice actors all the protections for AI that they want, but seemingly it's not coming it's not eye to eye with HoYoverse, and these updates still have to come out despite the strike. So they just went in another direction. It's that's the necessary battle you have to fight when it comes to fighting for labor rights. You don't get to keep your job when you're on strike. I know it's not popular to say this, but that's the pain of it. That's the hurt that you have to deal with.
It's don't cross the picket line. The point of the strike is nobody crosses the picket line, but eventually sometimes the companies will find other solutions. I have a question for you is, if your favorite mobile game stopped doing voice acting, would you still play it? The characters no longer have voices. To be more specific, think of whichever mobile game that you play the most and enjoy the most right now, or any of them, I guess, that have voice acting, and they just suddenly
go silent.
It's gone. The characters are silent. Are you still playing?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, because a lot of times I don't play my games with volume on. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I definitely appreciate it, but I don't know if that's a deal breaker for me.
Okay, going a little further then. If your favorite mobile game had an update and the character's voices like changed, like they got a new voice actor, are you the sort of person who would be like, that's probably not going to stop you from playing it? Or would you be like, my favorite character's voice is different?
I have had that happen. And while it's jarring, I typically just kind of grit my teeth and just get used to it.
Now, third one. You find out that that was actually an AI generated voice.
I'm dropping the game and deleting it.
It's interesting because like it's an odd progression of things where I think that there's a lot of mobile gamers, like particularly maybe just the Gooner crowd who's kind of just playing some of you know the types of games. Alec plays half of them, but
at least 90%.
You know, like you're playing kind of these little mobile games, these gotchas with the waifu characters and stuff, and it's like I think that there's some people who just wouldn't even care if the voices were AI generated. Sounds similar enough to her, don't care, she's hot, like that type of sort of vibe.
I'd much rather games and games, movies, everything have no voice acting in them
than
have AI generated voices. That's just me though.
Microsoft is shutting down Skype. I don't know if you heard about this.
Yeah, I thought Skype was already shut down, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's been so out of the just public conversation.
I thought they replaced it with Zoom.
Yeah, Skype is going to be retired on May 5th, and existing users will need to export their data or migrate to Teams. So yeah, it's the end of an era. Microsoft is shutting down Skype in May and replacing it with the free version of Microsoft Teams for consumers. Existing Skype users will be able to log on to the Microsoft Teams app and have their message history, group chats, and contacts all available without having to create a new account. But for a lot of people, this is almost just more of that, like I said, end of an era. Skype was right up there with those early like voice over IP call services, AIM, AOL Online, all that stuff. Like it's gone now. Like it isn't.
I remember it used to be special to be on a Skype call back in the day.
I know.
It's like we want to hop on a Skype call. It's like, ooh, you got a camera and a microphone, and y'all gonna hop on there. Y'all gonna talk to each. Ooh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it felt like a whole thing, and like it's kind of gone. I mean, I know Zoom. Well, a few companies it feels like kind of took the mantle. Like obviously Discord feels like it's
Discord's huge in the gaming space,
and it's expanded beyond gaming at this point. Like there are actually like work Discords that people have, if you can believe that. And obviously there's also Zoom that popped up in the pandemic.
But I feel like even Zoom's lost ground to things like
it has been
Microsoft Teams, Google Meet.
Slack's a big one.
Oh, Slack.
So yeah, I mean like Skype's kind of just gone. I remember Skype got like sold around a little bit. Like Microsoft bought it in like I want to say like 2010 maybe 2011, something like that. But yeah, the transition to Microsoft Teams will keep your Skype group chats intact. So, yeah.
I think, I don't remember Skype that well at this point anymore, but I feel like when Zoom came out with these more like whimsical features, I think that kind of put the biggest nail in Skype's coffin. Because I always seen Skype as more sterilized. It was more for it's like a meeting or for like when you talk to your family, but like it wasn't
more formal.
Fun.
It was very formal, yeah.
But Zoom was fun, right? It had like the backgrounds and the little filters and.
I mean, I also remember like Skype didn't have anything beyond just like kind of chatting and calling. And I think that as time passed, people just expected more. Like Discord offers you so much more. Like there's these group Discords. So you're not just like, okay, I talked to Alec in our little singular chat.
It has Discord Nitro.
Yeah, but now there's like, there's Discord and all these like features and channels and just whatever. Similarly with like Microsoft Teams, so many like workplaces use Microsoft Teams and it's got like a lot of collaborative tools and calendars and just projects you can work on together. So I think that Skype in that way, just kind of like fell to the wayside. It sucks. I'm not going to lie. I used Skype a little bit as a kid or like as a teenager. Like, 'cause I had some friends, like Yu-Gi-Oh friends or whatever I remember talking to, but I didn't use it much. So I guess I didn't have like a close tie to it. Just sort of.
I mean, I wasn't a heavy Skype user, mostly because I didn't get really consistent internet until high school.
Also, I suppose it's worth noting that it was one of those culturally significant enough like apps that it became a verb.
Yeah.
And I think that's always
did.
an honor.
It was a Skype call.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to Skype you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not that many like things get the privilege of kind of being, you know, like, I'm going to Google that, right? I'm going to Skype you later. So it's kind of a neat little tidbit. That,
Like, no one says I'm going to Zoom you. Like,
yeah, like maybe they
it
did in
doesn't
2020.
sound bad, but no one says that.
Cool. Any other stories?
No, I'm tapped out.
Awesome. Well, I think in that case, it's time to do a little pot.
With
Not
an
any
actual
shard.
pot.
Yeah, not any shard. We're going to do a little pot now. So, in case y'all were. Yeah,
I think this pot's empty, Paul.
Yeah, we've got the questions on our tablets, though, because there's some long ones this week. And as a special surprise, Alec is even going to be reading a couple of questions this
I already told Paul I'm not reading that really long one he sent.
Oh, you're going to have to listen.
I'm reading the shorter one.
The channel members pay so that we have to speak.
Wow. Up, and now my screen went. Okay, here we go. Echo TV here. What do you think the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Mobile space will be? As Duel Links is reaching that decade mark and running out of worlds and characters, and Master Duel isn't quite taking over like most of the Duel Links is Dead videos suggested, will they still be viable learning tools in your opinions, Paul and Alec?
Okay, so this is kind of a two-parter since they asked us what's the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Mobile games, and also will these games be learning tools? I'll answer the second one first.
Okay.
I think that they'll always be pretty good learning tools. Like Master Duel and Duel Links, they're Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulators.
Yeah.
So
they shave off a lot of the rough edges of Yu-Gi-Oh!
So yeah, you can kind of just get your little automated sim and that you can play on your phone or play on your tablet or whatever. So I don't think that that's really going anywhere. But the more interesting one is probably the first question, though, of like, what is next? Particularly given that Duel Links is sort of just out of worlds now. Like they're fully caught up with the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, like
right.
Go Rush. So any new worlds they add would just be new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime that come out, and right now there aren't any of those.
Duel Links isn't completely dead, but it's weirdly half dead because the advanced format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Duel Links is bread and butter comes from. Yeah, we're not getting more new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, so that side of things is, it's kind of on atrophy. Despite the fact we're still getting new TCG cards. Yeah. And those can be brought over into Duel Links. So in that one way, Duel Links doesn't have to die. But also, Duel Links is also the only simulator for Rush duels, unless you count the standalone Switch games, which we shouldn't.
Yeah.
So as far as
there is something there.
Yeah, as far as like Rush duels are concerned, and Japan is actively still pursuing and pushing Rush duels, and we know they're going to make a new Rush duel anime at some point. I don't think Duel Links is going to go anywhere, at least because they don't have a replacement for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Master Duel's still got like just probably a decade left in it. I mean, I think they just kind of got it not on autopilot in a bad way, but just like it's got its system. It's just a live service game. I will say, though, what the future of it looks like is interesting to me. There's two different things I look at right now. There's Yu-Gi-Oh! Cross Duel. Mm-hmm. That came out in like 2022, shut down in 2023, like less than a year later. Clearly a failure, though one that was experimental and fun and different. When I look at that game's failure, I always wonder, like, what went wrong? Why didn't people like it? What could they have done better? And most importantly, will they even try again? Like, given that companies are kind of just here to make money, and now there's sort of evidence that like people will, at least in Konami's eyes, people aren't going to play these exciting, creative Yu-Gi-Oh! Offshoot ventures. So why do that when we can just double down on Duel Links and Master Duel? What do you think about the Cross Duel conversation? Like, do you think that
Cross Duel failed, and that's going to be the last, at least in my opinion, that's going to be the last like Yu-Gi-Oh! Mobile title we'll probably ever see. I do not expect any more like furrows into the mobile space out of Konami.
Yeah,
there's no need. Master Duel makes the money and gets the engagement they want it to. Duel Links still does exactly what it's supposed to.
Chugs along.
it's a problem for for players. The fact that Duel Links is not going to get as much content as it once did, and it is a problem for Mass Duel players that Mass Duel is probably not going to get any better than what it already is. But that's sadly not Konami's problem.
Now the second game I was going to point out. Well, do you have any more to say on the
No, that's it.
Crosswell thing? So there's Early Days Collection, which I think is probably a good indicator of what might come in the future. I think that depending on the performance of Early Days Collection, we might see like an Early Days 2 or a Mid Days or whatever they want to call it.
Well, we're talking about mobile games, though. They didn't even release that mobile.
It could even be that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Early Days Collection come to mobile at some point. Like, it would be a pretty easy port, I imagine, for them. I was surprised that it didn't to begin with. Like, it just kind of seemed like it'd be an easy one. But I think that they might make a sequel to Early Days, and that'd be the next Yu-Gi-Oh game, and maybe they would also put that on mobile. So that feels like the more likely route. Now, as for something creative and fun and different, I'm with you. I don't think that we'll see anything. But if I had to be optimistic,
gun to your head optimism.
Gun to my head optimism. Not my strong suit, apparently, in this space. I'm always bitching. I think the most likely thing that we could expect would probably be something that is like... And actually, I don't know.
It's a really hard sell. Cross Duel is in the vein, or was in the vein, of interesting, like, unique Yu-Gi-Oh IP use. And I mean, as far as Konami is concerned, they got burned for it.
Yeah, I hate to say that because it's like, that's not meant to be like kind of a whole Yu-Gi-Oh's dying, there's not going to be any more games. It's just more like they did get burned for that. And I want to be clear. Saying they got burned implies that it's like all the players' fault. Like, oh, people didn't play, and look what you guys did. You made them shut this game down. No, I heard that game was predatory as hell.
Like, Cross Duel was in no way a perfect game, but it's like what I said about Early Days Collection the other week. It's a bit of a hostage situation. We're being blackmailed. If we don't support these games when they come out, no matter what their issues are, they'll likely just never, ever attempt anything like it again.
Yeah, it's like Early Days has to sell well for the hope of anything else. Okay, that actually reminds me of what I think might happen. So I've been interviewing some people who are these devout Cross Duel fans post, like, mortem, I guess we'll say. They have a whole Discord server. They have, like, jerry-rigged together, like, kind of a server where you can boot the game up and play, like, all the solo challenges. They still don't have multiplayer yet. It's, like, typical kind of post-mobile game sort of super community. Not a big community, but they're working on it. They even made custom cards. What these people were showing me, though, is that game's production value was actually way higher than Duel Links, and there's features of it that, like, a lot of people just did not know existed and that would have probably made the game a lot more popular if they knew about them. Such as, the characters were, like, kind of in live 2D.
Yeah.
Which Duel Links actually doesn't use. They just have 2D images.
PNGs.
But, the characters did have live 2D, so Kaiba and all of them talk to you. It was all fully voice acted. Even, like, characters you would not have expected, just random, more obscure characters were voice acted. And it was sort of like, I guess for lack of a better term, like a dating sim, in that you could, like, you had your duel companion, and they had voice lines, but as you grew, like, your companionship rating or whatever with them, they got more and more voice lines. They warm up to you. They become friendlier with you.
Oh, no.
And here's the thing. You fix them because characters like Bandit Keith and Weevil and stuff actually become like your friends, and you change their behavior.
I think all some people care about is, does Kaiba take his shirt off if you max out his affection?
He doesn't, but he does start to, like, do that kind of grudging tsundere kindness thing that people love. And so all of these, and, like, they were showing me all the voice clips, and, like, there's just extensive voice clips for these characters that if you were just playing Cross Duel kind of, like, casually just trying it out, you just wouldn't have known about all of this.
Like, you turn the game on and Kaiba just says, "Is that a deck in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?"
Oh, gross. So like, there was a lot of work that went into this game, and I do think that they will take some of those assets, the 3D models that were made for the game, and, like, all that stuff, the voice clips, and maybe try to repurpose it into something else. What that something else is, who knows? We've seen that one VR demo, So
that we have in fact seen a VR demo. Yeah, it was 2 years ago, but
yeah, well, it's been about a year now.
Oh, it's only been a year.
Yeah, it's only been a year.
Feels like so much time has passed.
So like, there's something there. But what cards on the current ban list would actually affect the game negatively if they were unbanned? It seems like most duels are determined in the first turn or two anyway. Which cards could be unbanned with no effect on the meta, and which cards could have a positive effect on the meta, if any?
You can't bring tier back.
I have a lot to say about this, and you're right, by the way. I don't think like tier needs to be coming back.
I think the Ishizu cards, actually even more so than the tier elements themselves, they kind of can't come back. They enable too much.
I don't remember. So I'm kind of unclear on like how much of the Ishizu stuff got hit in which format, because like Master Duels like banned some and TCG's banned some. But I have a broader thing to say about the question in general.
What's that?
Which is that, and if you've like followed me on Twitter, you kind of know this is an opinion I've had for a while. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Power creep is so much more like evident than anyone can ever imagine. People truly do not get how strong modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards actually are. Like the power level of these modern cards, I'm telling you, like there's just some of this stuff from like stuff that's been like banned before like 2015, 2010 doesn't mean shit. Very few exceptions.
What if we unerrated some things? Firewall.
Yeah, well they are like unerrated it and they mean oh yeah, it's, but like so some of the cards that come to mind for me, Mirage of Nightmare. I'm so surprised that this card is still banned. I think that it is just garbage. I do not think that people would play this card. I think that it would see zero play. It would not be good. There's no good application, in my opinion, for Mirage of Nightmare. I'm on the verge of being like Monster Reborn and Foolish Burial even could start coming to like 2 and 3 because I think that these cards are just so antiquated. Change of Heart, same story, like move it to 2, move it to 3. Because all of the, and here's what players are going to tell you. You're like, oh my God, like, no, we can't put Monster Reborn at 3. Like, we can't. It's like the Masterpiece coming back in Master Duel thing and all that stuff. These cards are old. They're all easily outed. And with the spell cards, like, if a deck needs to reborn a monster, it'll do it in Archetype. If a deck needs to get a monster to the graveyard, it will do it in Archetype. It will do it more efficiently than Foolish Burial could ever hope to like achieve. It will revive the monster with a searchable Monster Reborn that also has an effect in the grave. Like, it's these old cards, like I just don't think that, I think they're just like sitting on these ban lists and they just will not affect things. I get it. There's like stuff like, Vanity's Emptiness or Royal Oppression. Like, that's different. But like, I'm on the verge of thinking that like, there's maybe about a dozen cards in the ban list that absolutely must stay there, and everything else could just slowly find its way off, and people would be like, what? This is insane. And then, what would happen?
Makes no impact.
Makes no impact. A month passes, it gets zero play, and we just forget about it. I know like people were scared of the Dragon Rulers for so long. It was a tier 0 format. Oh my God, they're going to be gone. It's like, it just does not fucking matter. These cards see no play. So that's my rant.
So I do think there are some old cards that can't come back, and they're not just Floodgates. Mm-hmm. I think Trap Dust Shoot shouldn't come back.
Yeah, fair.
Because like you might think, oh, it's a trap, it's too slow, but it's all fun and games. So your opponent builds their board of 5 negations, then they set like 2 Trap Dust Shoots, so they can pick out your like starters out of your hand.
Yeah, just like, it's funny. There are a few cards like that like age like fine wine. Anything that like kind of hand rips, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then most Floodgates. But I think that these like kind of just spells that just do like a single thing. I don't know.
That's true, because Pot of Greed could just be back.
I think so too, actually. Believe it or not, Pot of Prosperity, many people agree is like better than Pot of Greed is. And that's really scary to think about. But digging 6 deep for the perfect 1-card starter is better than randomly drawing 2.
Well, because back when you looked at card economy was different back in the day. Mm-hmm. When back in the day, every single card had value almost regardless of what card it was. So each additional card was great. Yeah. Nowadays, not every card in your deck actually has the same value. There's a certain number of cards in your deck that are your entire deck in one card. You want that one. You don't actually want 2 other cards.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the power of a single card means that you'd rather get said single card than the chances of just like two cards. And it's not to say that like, Pot of Greed is like perfectly balanced or that it wouldn't also cause its own problems. I'm just saying that I think like some of these little legacy picks that are just sitting on this ban list, people are afraid of them. And, just Master Duel proves it to me. Like Master Duel did that one ban list where people were freaking out like Masterpiece is back, Nightmare Goblin's back, like Ib, the World Challenge Justiciar is back. It's like, this is going to be so insane. And then like none of them get played. None of them get played.
We need to bring back Graceful Charity.
It's funny, like I'm at the point now where I'm more willing to try these things out than I was at any point in the past. I'm not saying that some of these wouldn't cause maybe some weird issue, right? Like Graceful Charity could come back and be a complete nightmare cesspool and you have to ban it again. But I'm more on team like bring it back and let it prove that it's a problem as opposed to not.
So is there any monster from the past like 10 years, or let's say the past 20 years, screw it, any monster you think can't come back?
I guess if we exclude Max C, because I know that's like kind of
that's contentious.
That's the more contentious one. I gotta like look up what the current banned monsters are, because I feel like they like, hold up, I'm gonna look it up. Does anything come to mind for you?
I can't think of one. I was thinking about Dark Magician of Chaos. Then I remembered he got errated and they took him off the ban list a while ago.
Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at the forbidden stuff, and it seems like right now, the stuff that really sticks out to me is like, maybe this could just come back and no one will really care. I think, like, let's see, Fairy Tale Snow, kind of surprised that's still banned. Some of these weird things like Blackwing Gothou and Grinder Golem, maybe just they would errata them and just bring them back or something like that.
No, Grinder Golem is there for a really good reason. Really
nutty. There are 2 Band of Shizu cards. I'd forgotten like which ones exactly were. They've got Agito and Kelbeck on here. I'm surprised Spiral Master Plan is still banned. That she's in Master Duel and she doesn't do anything.
I do think Master Plan should just come right off. I don't like the Shizu cards coming back, because then people just will start running Shizu engines and
Mathemax Circulars on here.
Things.
I think that could just come back. Masterpiece, that could come back. Like, I don't know. There's probably a few more extra deck things that I've kind of missed, but it just, to me, like, when it comes to those old spells and stuff, like, those are the ones where I'm just like, I'm just very shocked that some of this stuff is. Giant Trunade doesn't matter to me. Heavy Storm, that's already back in the OCG. Mirage of Nightmare, like I mentioned before. It's just, I'm at the point now where I sometimes wonder if, like you said, like, the Pot of Greeds and stuff would even truly be so bad. But maybe I'm just crazy, smoking too much of my Yu-Gi-Oh pot or whatever. So
no, this is the podcast to do it.
What's your next question?
Oh, I'm not reading that.
Go on.
Fine. Just watched a video where you showed off your Yu-Gi-Oh items and merch. I was appreciating how you guys aren't afraid to open and use the merch you buy. For example, the pot collection or the large pot of greed. Well, now there's 2. So often, I see people buy things and leave them in the original packaging. In my opinion, it's a waste unless you plan to flip it down the line. You bought it to not use it? I want to use the cool collector's item I bought. As most Yu-Gi-Oh players are probably collectors of things too, do you think it's wasteful to not open a special version of something knowing you probably won't sell it later? What are your thoughts on not opening collectibles? Love the show. I just bought the scapegoats you guys showed off. I agree with Paul for more cute mascot merch. Please make a Marshmallow or Totally Awesome. That's for you, Konami. All right, so this is a question about collectibles.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh collectibles, or I guess even kind of collectibles
in general. So I think it's important to remember everybody is a little different. I'm the type of person, I like to use the things I get. It kind of doesn't matter how expensive the collector's item it is. If I can use it, I just will. Especially when it comes to cards. I play cards. I don't just like looking at them. I like to play them if I can. Now, if the card's literally unplayable, it is what it is. But I like to play my cards. But there are people out there who, when they collect, a big part of it for them is the pristine clean condition. It's almost like a time capsule. They don't want it besmirched, and they derive literally just as much joy as I would playing this card. They get that from just being able to like look at it and seeing it in excellent condition. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's different strokes for different blokes kind of thing.
Yeah, so I've got a few like just kind of rapid fire thoughts on these. I say I'll end up like expounding on all of them. The first is that, yeah, I'm kind of one of those people where like I kind of buy it to use it. That's like you. If I get something, I kind of intend to like wear it or like use it or whatever. Like I don't. Second thing, I don't flip like almost anything. I am not a reseller. Like hand to God, I do not resell stuff. I mean, even some of the things that like aren't collectibles.
I know I saw you sell cameras.
No, I'm talking about collectibles.
Oh, okay.
Unless cameras are if cameras are collectibles, I guess it's
some
different.
people do collect cameras.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I sell like camera gear, but I'm talking about like anything that's just like a Yu-Gi-Oh, thing, or like, shirt, figures, merch. Like, I just keep it. Like, I don't know. I'm not.
Paul's not a flipper, y'all.
Yeah, I just don't really.
He can't even do a flip. Paul, do a flip.
Oh God, okay. I show speed, just do a backflip.
Wait, if you did, would you become the biggest streamer in the world?
I have to do like 20,000 of them.
Just try it. Just
like
try it. If you get even 1/20,000
anyway,
of his
what
fame,
I was saying about the collectibles is that, yeah, I don't flip collectibles. I'm also a YouTuber, so half the time when I'm buying stuff, it's partly to like be a backdrop piece. Like I still have a lot of stuff I want to like set up and kind of have a bit of a backdrop. It's like, part of the reason I got a second pot of greed is, I was mad that the first one broke. But it's like, I want to have this here. Like I get these giant cards because they're just fun to display. Like I know there's a market for these things, but I just don't like resell them. I like to just display them and stuff like that. What I will say in defense of people who like only who don't use maybe plushes and figures and stuff or whatever, don't open them. There are certain ones where it is literally better for displaying not to open them. Like,
true, some are kind of just made for that.
Like when I think of the first 4 figures things, I feel like they actually, and it's sad to say, but like keeping them in the box and displaying the box is almost just as good as displaying the thing, because the thing is heavy and kind of clunky and cumbersome. And like, I remember we had those Egyptian god figures,
and their tails would fall off.
And their tails, it's like stuff would fall off, or they would get like caught on something. And like literally, it's just the boxes look so nice anyway that it's almost like you could just have the boxes be like the display. Not even have
that cipher hurt to hold.
Yeah, I know. So it's just so part of me is kind of like there's an argument for that. I know I had a friend who he collected Funkos, and he would just like, I know with Funko Pops, it's literally they look better when displayed in box. Like when you have just a wall of the boxes of them. Mm-hmm. They kind of just look better that way, as opposed to, so, I mean, there's that. Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, I just reiterate my opinion about how I view collectibles. If I collect something, I want to be able to hold it. I want to be able to show it. I may not let other people touch it, but I want to touch it.
Yeah.
So it can't be in a package. Yeah,
and just on the little extra note about like mascot-y collectibles, I do think Yu-Gi-Oh needs to do more of them. They've been kind of doing like a few more. Like they did like that Time Wizard. I saw like a little Time Wizard. They've been like the Rescue Rabbit plushes. The more of that, the better, in my opinion. That sort of thing is just, it's fun, it's cute, and it also like for being a plush, it means you don't have to worry about like, those tend to not get scalped as hard, right? Like I know those Rescue Rabbits are apparently worth a little bit, but like,
they got to get on the Pokemon merch wave, like how they do the life size like Snorlax and the life size Gardevoir.
Or how you can just go into any store now and just find like Pikachus and Squirtles and stuff, like just in Walmart, like
we need to have Karibos and Scapegoats, but also life size Elemental Hero Wildheart. Just different mascots and figures and plushes.
Yeah, very round, cute little small mascots like Elemental Hero Wildheart.
They want to do a full size Elemental Hero Bersantrix uncensored. Sure, I mean I don't see anything wrong with that.
Like the uncensored part. No, yeah, I think like Yu-Gi-Oh merch. I'm glad they're doing more of it. I'm glad they're licensing it out more. Most of the stuff that I get, I just kind of intend to keep. So That's why I don't
And you
feel
will
too
see
bad
it
about
in a
opening
video.
it. And the last thing I'll add to that too is like, if my shit breaks, as you guys have known it to recently,
It's done that.
I take responsibility for like breaking my stuff. Like, that pot of greed broke because I was negligent, and I can accept that. Like, I just, that's the risk that you get when you like wear the sneakers or you wear, like it's gonna get wear and tear and it might get damaged, but like,
I do have one pair of sneakers never worn. It's not because I won't wear them. It's just I never had the opportunity to.
I mean, technically, you always have the opportunity to.
No. I only wear my sneakers when I'm somewhere where it feels like they're appropriate, like a wedding or something.
Right. Last question for the day. I forgot to mention, by the way, you guys can submit these questions at the link in the description.
It's down there.
We'd love to hear from you. Hey, best and only podcast around. Oh, this guy knows. Was wondering what character you would like to see if Fortnite got to do a Yu-Gi-Oh collab. So base form Yugi with maybe a built-in Atem Pharaoh transformation, Kaiba with a Blue Eyes White Dragon glider, Yusei with his dual runner, etc.
Well, it sounds like they just described them right there.
Love the pod. Keep up the fantastic work. So you play more Fortnite than me. Actually, you play all the Fortnite, and I play none of it. But if there's a Yu-Gi-Oh collab, first I want to know what characters, because I think typically with Fortnite, don't they get like 3 usually, maybe 4?
It's typically like three characters, usually 2 guys and a girl.
So what 3 are we getting with Yu-Gi-Oh?
All right, so this is going to be a little difficult, but I think the 3 you sit on is Yugi, Kaiba, and Mai. And that's to keep with their whole like 2 guys and a girl thing they like doing. Because it's hard to really point out like a female Yu-Gi-Oh character who's on the same level as Yugi and Kaiba.
Yeah, it's Mai's about as good as it gets.
Mai's as good as it gets, so I think that's the 3. And then they already described it. I think you should having an emote transformation into the Pharaoh Atem would be cool.
100%. Yes, very cool.
A glider, a Blue Eyes White Dragon glider. Genius. You can't get better than that.
Kaiba would 100%.
Just does not.
That would 100% be Kaiba's thing.
And then Mai could have like a Harpy Lady glider. There's no reason they fly. It just works.
Yeah, that's true. I think I did like their idea of Yusei having a dual runner.
But you have to incorporate the monsters somehow. So I feel like they all have to have an emote where they summon their ace monster. Like you need that. That has to happen.
I sometimes wondered, I guess with Fortnite, you probably would play as the characters. I always wondered if, what if you just played as the monsters? Like, they did a collab, and you just get, like, Dark Magician Girl, and, like, Blackluster Soldier. I don't know, just, Summon Skull, maybe.
As long as they're humanoid, you can put a gun in their hands, and you're good.
Yeah, because that's why I was thinking Blue Eyes, but then it's like, well, Blue Eyes can't. Blue Eyes with a gun.
Might be difficult. We can take this whole idea even further. If you ever played Fortnite, you know that sometimes their collabs get mixed into the battle pass and into the gameplay for the season. It would be really cool that if you're foraging around the map, you're looking for new weapons, and you pick up a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Oh,
and next time you're in a fight, you can throw the card out, and then like Dark Magician just shows up and Dark Magic attacks someone, or Blue Eyes just hits them with the white lightning. That would be cool. Like, I know maybe like Fortnite wouldn't want to do that, but Yu-Gi-Oh is a popular enough IP. I feel like if you can put like Family Guy and everybody else in it, Yu-Gi-Oh can get in there.
I remember speaking with an employee of a certain company, and this person was telling me that pretty much every game IP, like game developer, kind of wants their game in Fortnite. Like, it's kind of the ultimate like just marketing push for your franchise. Like, if your thing is in Fortnite, that immediately just exposes it to a bunch of
an entirely new generation.
11-year-olds. And so all these people who just kind of don't know what like Yu-Gi-Oh is would see these characters, immediately be interested. That would be their first exposure to Yugi and Kaiba and stuff, would be through Fortnite. But they would then go and like consume some of the source media, go watch the anime and movies and play some of the games, maybe start playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, it could be even cooler. Maybe the card is random. You don't know what monster is in the card.
I think that'd be
You get into
really
a fight
awesome.
and you throw it, and then something happens. You might be unlucky and get a scapegoat.
Yeah. Maybe it would still defend you a little bit or something. I don't know.
And then this
Make
would
a
be
hit.
completely busting. Everyone would hate it, but it would be fun if there's like a 0.1% chance that Exodia summons and just it insta kills whoever is in front of you.
That would make perfect.
People would be so upset.
So that's the questions today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of The Pot of Greed. Thank you guys so much as always for your support. Remember, if you want to financially support the podcast,
Become a member.
you can always do that. Yes, become a channel member.
And if it's not your week to be a member, that's cool. There's always next week. You can just comment about what you liked about this episode of the pod and how you're going to become a member next time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, give the video a thumbs up. Let us know what your favorite story was, your opinions on them. I know there were some pretty interesting ones, like the Magic the Gathering thing.
You guys might have some arguments to hash out. Just keep it
intriguing.
Keep it respectful.
Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.